Yo, what's good? We are back. The one RCJ. I'm just chilling, sitting outside my door right now. Hence the doorknob. Mind your business. So yeah, new 24. Hope all is well. Hope you was Hope everybody's doing good. Whatever battles you're fighting, that you're conquering those, and you're sticking with your faith, man, and your moral values. I know it is tough. It is a lot going on, but try not to get as distracted. Again, stick to your plan. When you wrote your plan down and your moves down, and what you're planning on doing today or the next day after that, etc. I'm pretty sure arguing with the person that cut you off in traffic wasn't one of the plans. You know what I mean? So give yourself some grace. You are human. Get through it. But ultimately, it's not that serious. You feel me? So keep pushing, my people. So just want to get straight into it. All right. So I've been watching. We observe. It's natural, right? I'm on social media. I watch people on social media, man. But this is for the culture, for my people, for the village, family. This is everybody included. Children, you might not know what's going on. You might not really get what's going on, depending on your age, right? Because they are real smart. You might not understand where this is going, but we're gonna plant the seeds anyway. And later on, when the conversation arises again, you'll know where you fit in, right? So I want to talk about this relationship issue topic that's continuously being talked about, conversed. People having these big conversations on relationships and where do we go wrong. And again, you know, could say a lot. June's Logic podcast, it'll make sense, but it is what it is. Moving forward, man. One thing I know that a lot of people aren't considering. This is why I say you have to go back to the source, man. Every problem starts somewhere, right? It derives from something. So if we're having problems with women and men right now, then you would have to go to the source of that problem, right? Strictly to my village, my people that understand what I'm on, you know, uh, you'll get it. But again, follow me. So you have to go back to the source at some point. At some point, if you're really trying to figure out where things come from and maybe even how you can fix the issue, right? So the story of Adam and Eve, right? This is the issue we're having. Um, again, Jones logic, hypothetical. But this is the issue we're having. Let's look at the story and let's dissect it for what we do know. Like I said, on the surface level, I'm not gonna go in deep. I'm not quoting scriptures. I'm not doing none of that. It is what it is. You'll be all right. But follow me. The concept of man and woman, right? God had Adam, gave him Eve. We had a job to do, right? And you have to understand the why, right? And I'm just gonna drift off for a second. You have to understand the why, and this is solely for you to get a big picture and a different insight on it, right? So again, Adam and Eve, we had a job to do. You have this helpmate, right? Your job is to protect her, provide for her, kind of show her the ropes. Cool. As a woman, you came with rules as well. Okay, I have to, encourage my man, nurture my man, so forth and so on. We're not going to drag it. So you have your gender roles, plain and simple. Now, you have to understand men where we went wrong in that story, right? Put any regular average guy in that shoe. You're the first guy, you're the purest guy. Uh, you have all the information. God gave you the rules, the laws of the land. So you're really running this land, right? Your only job is to cater to this young lady and show her the ropes. And the story, from my perspective, right? That's where we drop the ball. We miss that part right there. And it's very important, right? Because you have to understand the mindset. And like I said, for my men in this conversation, collective conversation, by the way, for my men though, think about that. If your lady right now in modern times, what do we think? Second nature is like, naturally, I'm gonna provide, I'm gonna protect my woman, and so forth and so on. And all I need her to do is be A, B, C, and D, nurturing, catering to me. And the whole agreement is realistically based on trust, right? Do I trust this man to lead me, or woman to, this man to lead me, or do I, as a man, am I going to feed my woman? Am I going to teach her? Am I going to protect her and provide for her? Different things. She might not know, like I said, considering the story. If the female was second, right, so to speak, or she came next, and you knew how to cultivate and you knew how to grow yams, it's your job to show her how to grow yams so you can go wandering off. Follow me. So, sorry, Adam and Eve. Adam, we had the responsibility to watch over this young woman, right? Over our queen. We did not teach her enough game before we left her and wandered off. That's what we have to take accountability for as a man. And the problems come from that issue right there. We're dealing with the same issue. The only way, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people that can agree with me, married couples and stuff like that, but if you put emphasis and put effort into leading your lady in that manner, finding out what she likes, right? And then you understanding the laws of the land, right? Because you're more so out in that field, in the working field, and you deal with certain mentalities, depending on your situation, right? This is all like just general, right? But depending on your situation, oftentimes you've dealt with a lot more in the working field when it comes to like certain backlash as a man, right? And women have their same gripes as well. But just from our perspective, it's like understanding that I'm going to come home and I'm going to tell my wife, I'm going to tell my children, like, look, these are things you look out for because it's kind of something that happened to me. Same thing with a woman; she's going to do that too. But again, attitude reflects leadership. So without losing you, follow me. That's where we drop the balls, fellas, and that's what can help the problem. That's what fixes the problem. Again, a lot of people have been talking about the issues, a lot real redundant, real repetitive. Nobody's giving you a solution. So I'm going to give you a solution to the problem. We have to look eternally, right? You didn't do it. I didn't do it to her. But Adam did that to Eve. He let it slip through his fingers. He could have spent a little bit more time giving her some game, right? And this is just my perspective on it. Before and just trained her a little more before leaving her to get, manipulated by the snakes. Now, for women, because you're not no scapegoats, where you went wrong is, again, you didn't listen. How many times do I have to tell you, look, don't touch the yams and the zucchini don't grow together. If you do that, it's gonna kill all the crops. How many times do I have to tell you that for you to understand that? Listen, if you do that, we're gonna die, possibly. We're gonna die of starvation. We're gonna start all over. And according to the rules that was given to me, that is against the laws. What are we dealing with now? Women who can't listen, women who don't understand the difference between somebody giving them leadership and guidance and trying to tell them not to eat the apple off the fruit. So then we have this small area, which is getting bigger and growing every day, right? Thank God for that, where people are understanding that that's what it is for the most part. And more people are starting to say these things, and we're going to say it as a culture, and that's basically what it is. So solution to the problem is literally that. That's the why. That's why you're doing it. That's why my guys, for the good girls, that you guys and the good guys and the good girls that can work it out, you might have fell out for a little mishap or misunderstanding. If you have the ability to recover, right? Because you didn't know certain things or didn't look at it in a certain way, and now you can kind of think about it a little bit more and make and come to a fair ground. I encourage you to do so. But that's the reason why, guys, we have to give them a pass. The good women that might have made a mistake, and we know how far that goes, right? Boundaries for everything. But and if you know, you know. If not, just look around. Same thing with the women. You understand where you guys might have fell short. Adam and Eve story. If you listen, you know what I mean? You kind of just take it for what it is. If you trust in this, man, you have to do that at some point in time. We only have a small window sometimes in hard decisions and last minute decisions where we got to choose left or right. But remember, we're willing to die behind that choice so you can live on and tell the story, whether it be a good thing or not. Feel me? So that's the why. That's why we're coming to the table. That's why we need to have these hard conversations. And that's why we need to be very transparent and vulnerable and create spaces where we can have these conversations without somebody trying to dictate and without the guys and women leading these circles, stop. Hopefully they're not manipulating just to get their benefits off of it. But again, that's my take on it. I think if you look at it, it'll make more sense to you. But ultimately, that's the why. That's the problem. And that's why we're having these conversations. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people won't be able to explain it. This is from the source. So it is what it is. I don't know what it looks like. But again, love y'all. Thank you for the support. But again, think about it. And if you can give each other a pass, understanding like, damn, my great, 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 etc. grandfather and grandmother, they might have made a mishap. They made a bad decision. But I got this hand now that was dope. And I can make a change. So stick to your guns, man. Stand on your values. And yeah, holla at me if it makes sense. All right. Love y'all. Stay sharp, stay solid, man. And fear nothing. Love God. Peace.